We've got lots to talk about today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, what we're looking at right now are orbs captured on camera by Jeff Woolwine. He's this amazing guy. I interviewed him on the channel a couple months ago, so definitely go check out that interview. He was able to identify and track UFOs in Phoenix and later in Tucson, and he believes they're like plasma beings that interact with energy in certain predictable ways so that he can actually predict when they're going to appear. Amazing stuff, really awesome. So I highly recommend checking out his channel or the book that he wrote or the interview that we did together. But yeah, he goes out watching UFOs all the time, and again, he's able to know when they're going to show up because of his predictions about how they interact with energy, and I think that maybe the stars, or certain seasons. Anyway, just phenomenal stuff. This is like an 18-minute long video. There's all sorts of great stuff in here, all sorts of numerous sightings of these objects or beings or whatever they are. I have to wonder if they have some relationship to the things that the Skywatcher group is picking up. So, some sort of plasma beings or other dimensional beings or something. Maybe not ships.
Hello, welcome back to another Petroglyphs in the Sky UFO show. How is everyone doing tonight? So glad you guys are here with us. Thank you so much, Jack Connor from Cosmic Road YouTube channel. Thank you so much for the shout out and checking out the book. And if you guys want to get your copy right here, pick up your copy today, How I Tracked UFOs Around Tucson. And we're going to give an update on that tonight. Glad you guys are here. So it's been a while since I've done a show like this. I've been really busy tracking these Tucson lights here in Tucson and taking people up there to see lights. And we're gonna do a little update on where they're at and their activity. And so yeah, let's get rolling. And so I got invited out to do an event in California by my good friend Paul and Cindy, who have a haunted store called This and That. And so after we got done having dinner at their house, we took off to their shop to go check out their haunted store. And this is about 9 o'clock at night, and so we're cruising, and lo and behold, I look up because I'm a sky watcher. I'm keeping an eye on the skies. And I look up and I see this light appears, coming at us, disappear. Another light coming at us and disappear. I'm like, dude, they're here. So I had Pam, call up Paul and Cindy because they were a couple car lengths ahead of me. I'm like, dude, pull over. And there's lights in the sky. And so he did. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Okay, cool. So why don't you go ahead and give us your name and tell us where you're at and what's going on.
My name is Paul Perez. We are in Joshua Tree, California. We are the owners of This and That, located in Yucca Valley. And we're here tonight with Jeff Woolwine as we are discovering the lights in the sky.
What made you come out here?
Well, Jeff Woolwine discovered the lights as we were driving into town, and he happened to look to the sky and saw some mysterious lights hovering over between the mountains, and he said, pull over, as we stopped and checked it out, and we got to videotape and check out these amazing lights that he discovered, and we just started videotaping, and now we're on here day 2 discovering the lights again, different times, different motions that they do, and just trying to figure out the pattern and learn more about them.
Man, it's really cool. They're like coming and going from that mountain out there.
Yeah, it really is great, as we can see them appear from different angles, from behind the mountain, coming out of the mountain, and then how mysteriously how they fade away.
Man, it's awesome how they get really bright and then they just kind of disappear.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. They're they come out really bright and then they disappear, and it's like trying to find out the mystery behind that.
Yeah. Man, it's so cool. It's so cool that you guys are able to see this and witness, and it's happening here in California and Tucson, and I believe it's happening all over the world. So we need more people like you to come out and say, hey, I saw something, and these things are here, and get, everyone else involved, because, man, it's something to see.
Yeah, definitely it's something great to see. As like you said, people are discovering all over. We have people from Yucaipa, Landers, Lucerne Valley, right here in Joshua Tree. So it'll be great if we can get everybody involved, everybody to like videotape, come out and see, and discover to see these lights.
Yeah, and so it would be cool because you own that shop. What's the name of the shop again?
This and that.
And what's your phone number?
442-306-9193.
And contact him if you guys are living here in California and want to see the lights, because I kind of hope that you will get more people involved to come out here and watch them with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're going to try to build up a community to get them to come out, discover the lights, and also to get them to buy your book. And you can find it on Amazon, and this way they can see why and find the viewpoints of what's going on with the lights, and then the explanation of the book too as well.
Oh, that's awesome, brother. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being interested in this and telling more people about it, man.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Man, thank you again.
Thank you. Yeah,
awesome,
brother.
man. Great. Man, was that awesome or what? So, Paul and Cindy, they're awesome people, and they have their own paranormal channel on Roku. And why don't you go ahead and check that out real quick. It's called the Paranormal Channel 24/7. All right, make sure you check that out. That's always fun. And so Ashley Reed, she was one of the people that was out there watching these lights with us, and she says, thank you so much for showing us. It's something extraordinary, remarkable, and unforgettable. Keen, that's her son, was grateful to have seen them too. Something I wish I would have seen as a teenager, but I'm glad I got to see them now. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley Reed, and I'm so glad that you were there along with us. And there was a lot of other people there with us, because we're watching the lights, and Paul, he's up there calling his friends, dude, hey, come down here, look at these lights, right? So that was really cool. So we had a group of people out there watching the lights in California. So make sure you contact Paul and Cindy at their This and That show, or This and That shop, and reserve your tickets to check out their haunted shop. And but before that, you want to go look at the California lights, right? Go out there and check them out. So that was awesome. Okay, let's talk about the Tucson lights. And let's go back to 2024, when I first found these things. And this is a page that you can find in my book. And I explain on how I track these things and the reason for it all. And it goes into a lot more details on how you too can see these UFOs, not only here in Tucson, but all over the United States and the world, because these things are here, and I believe it's the same pattern and the same thing that's going on here. And I don't believe anyone has really realized this yet, but yes, these things are here. And in my book, I talk about how you too can see these light orbs for yourself, and how you can track them and where to find them right here at the link to my book. Ding. There you go. And get your copy today. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this. So what happened in 2024? So we had a major solar flare in May of 2024. And in my opinion, I believe this solar flare kick-started this mountain like a car battery. Because these light orbs has been visiting these mountains here, not only in Tucson, but Phoenix and all these other places for thousands of years. But nothing on the grand scale as it is now. And this is because we're having these solar flares, these solar energy particles that are being thrown down here on the Earth. And when it does that, I believe it kickstarted these energy sources here as far as the fault lines that these mountains were created from. And that's the whole reason why these light orbs are visiting these certain mountains, is because of the natural energy that these mountains are generating. It's like an intergalactic gas station, if you will, for these creatures. And so in May of 2024, we had a solar storm, and I tracked them from May until 1 o'clock. They're out there for a whole hour. And this is the pattern. They're out there for a whole hour. So between 12 and 1, they would be moving from west to east. Sometimes they would crisscross in the sky, but still migrating from west to east at different times, at different locations with different months. And so by December, they were clear out of Tucson, coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so why is this? So in May, it amplified this mountain. And it brought these creatures here. And notice how I call them creatures. I call them entities. I call them light beings. In my 25 years of researching and studying these things and being the founder of these new UAPs, some call them jellyfish, I'm the original founder. I'm the first one to discover this new type of UFO here in the United States while I was investigating the Phoenix Lights. And I discovered this new type of UAPs, and I soon realized that we're dealing with different things here. We have the normal crafts that people are talking about, and now we have something new that I'm sure eventually, as time goes by, people are going to start discovering this, and more people are realizing this. It took over 20 years for people to first now start seeing these jellyfish, but I found them way back there in 2005. And I soon realized that these things were alive. These wasn't crafts at all. The Phoenix Lights wasn't a craft. Each light is a living creature, is a living entity. And what are they doing? They're absorbing the energy over these mountains. In Phoenix and Tucson and any other place where natural energy is being harnessed at, volcanoes, fault lines. And so in May of 2024, we had a major solar storm. Boom. All these electrical particles, all these energy particles, amplified this mountain. And now these creatures are here every night absorbing the energy. But after May, there was no more solar storms. So it left these things hungry. And the only way to the only way to feed the energy, because the solar storm has stopped, but the energy is still there, but not as much as what happened in May. So the only way to feed on the energy was to go from west to east, following the rotation of the Earth. When we look north above the globe, above Earth, it's going counterclockwise from west to east. This is the reason why the sun sets in the west and rises in the east, because the sun is going counterclockwise around the sun. It's rotating counterclockwise around the sun and going clockwise around the sun. So there's energy there. And these creatures are able to harness the rotation of the Earth energy. Okay? We haven't figured this out yet, right? On how to capture this energy from Earth's natural rotation. but it is possible. And I believe that's what these beings are doing. So they would come here, and the energy fluctuates with the times. So major times is when there's major energy, and it only lasts for about an hour. So each energy source only lasts an hour. And these creatures know it. These beings know it. That's why they're only here for about an hour. And in 2024, going from west to east, absorbing that energy, because everything's moving, everything's changing. This is why the solstice, these spots here, is so important on tracking UFOs. It's because they're following this energy pattern, all right? But boom, we had these solar flares, man, in May. And it just kick-started it, but we didn't have any more solar flares all the way till the end of 2024. And it left these things, hungry for more energy. So they were forced to move and gather energy with the sun and the rotation and the changing of seasons and each different hours until they were out there, until they were gone in December of 2024. They were completely out of Tucson, and I tracked them. I tracked them every night. And it was a sight to behold, let me tell you, man. These things, man, they're living creatures, and when you watch them, they're like bugs, okay? They're like these fireflies, right? And they're just constantly like bugs to a light. You know how the bugs are attracted to that energy? Man, that's what's going on here, okay? All right, so let's talk about when they came back. So when they returned in January of 2025, I was really shocked on how they showed up over here on the east side of the Catalina Mountains. So we have the Catalina Mountains here. We have Mount Bigelow behind the Catalinas, and then behind the Catalinas we have Mount Lemmon. And I believe that Mount Lemmon is the energy source. And in my book, I talk about how the canyons behind Mount Lemmon are actually the doorways for the spirits of the earth and sky. And this is what the Native Americans tell us. Native Americans tell us that these doorways are emergence points into the underworld. But on scientific analysis, they're actually going down into that fault line where the energy is. And so I was really shocked when they returned. They came back January 2025 on the east side of the Catalinas. We're seeing flying over the Catalinas, but I think they're really over and coming and going from Mount Lemmon. Okay, so this is another copy of my book here. So in May of 2024, let's take a look at this real quick. Shoot. They came here at May, and I tracked them all the way to December. And then they came back in January, right? Here, and they went February, they went to the recons east. So instead of going that way, they now came this way in February to the recons. Let's go ahead and blow this up, get a better look. Okay. So I tracked them from January to February. And then March, they're over here at the Tucson Mountains west. And I tracked them April. and then right back here to May. So they made a complete circle within a year's time around Tucson. And then boom, they're right back here in May. And then again in 2025, what happened? So after they made a complete circle around Tucson and they were ended up back there at May, but this time they seem to be, instead of like 12 o'clock, they seem to be coming in like an hour earlier now. And they were still concentrating over there in May until we had another solar flare. We had another solar storm in May of 2025. And this changed the pattern a little bit. But now they're flying over the city now. Okay, they're heading more to the recons. They're heading more. They're heading more east, going across Tucson. And ever since then, bam, 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 bam. Major solar storms. We've been having these solar storms ever since last May of 2025. One after another, after another, after another. And so now they don't need to migrate from west to east anymore, because they're drawing all this energy, not only from the fault lines on the west side of the mountains, the Tucson mountains, but also all this extra energy particles. And why on the west side? Why are they concentrating on the west side now? Why are they staying to the west? I believe it's because these solar storms is happening on the left side of the solar disk, on the west side of the solar disk. So all the energy is being concentrating on the west side. So as long as we continue to have these solar flares, especially on the west side, on the left side of the solar disk, then they should stay over there at the Tucson mountains, on the west side of Tucson. But if these solar flares stop, then they should resume back to their pattern, west to east, absorbing the energy from the rotation of the Earth counterclockwise, just like what they were doing in 2024. But as long as we, keep having these solar storms, then they should continue to still be on the west side of the Tucson mountains. So let's go ahead and show you some of the videos on the west side of Tucson, Arizona. The Tucson Lights 2025. Hope you enjoy it.
When the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bed, who I wanna be there in my city. Oh, 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 oh. So you play your lonely. Well, my friend, I'm lonely too. I wanna get back to my city by the bay. Oh, it's sad. Oh, it's been morning on the road without you So you play your lonely. Well, my friend, I'm lonely too. I wanna get back to my city by the bay. Oh, it's sad, oh, to spend morning on the road without your charm. Oh, 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 my, 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 my. Oh, when the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay. Ooh, I wanna be there with my city. Oh, 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 when the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay. Ooh, I wanna be there in my city. Oh, oh, day. Oh, it's sad, oh, to spend morning on the road without your charm. Oh, 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 my, 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 my. Oh, when the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay. Ooh, I wanna be there with my city. Oh, oh, when the lights go down in the city and the sun shines on the bay. Ooh, I wanna be there in my city. Oh, 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 oh.
Man, is that incredible? That's something to see. These things are really fascinating to watch, and like I said before, they're kind of like bugs as they fly through the sky. And so right now it's November 3rd, and we're still watching the lights, but I have to go somewhere else because they're still on the west side of the west side of Tucson, and but they're kind of out of my view from where I live, so I have to go to this certain spot to go see them. And so let's go ahead and show you this. This happened on Halloween of October of 2025. And so it was pretty incredible. It's pretty intense to watch, to see these things. And like I said, they're like bugs, right? As they fly through the sky, and how they crisscross. And there's just so many of them out there now. And the best way to see them is with a night vision. And so, you know, we're at our favorite spot. Actually, my favorite spot is my place. But when I take people to go see them, I take them to the certain spot. And it just so happens that there's a security guard came up and was wondering what we were doing. And it's funny. You know, it's not the first time, because over the 25 years of studying these UFOs, I've had the cops calling me many times. And, you know, I always, you know, show them what I'm doing. I always have photographs of something to show them what I'm doing, just to let them know that I'm not out there, you know, trying to plot something. You plotting? You plotting? You know, what are you doing, dude? You know what I mean? You got a camera out there. Are you plotting? You know? So yeah, that's what I've been dealing with 25 years. You know, hunting and tracking these things. I get the cops call on me, you know, quite a few times, because I'm out there in the middle of fields. You know, I'm looking towards people's houses. You know, so now we're up on a 5-story garage, and you know, it's a business basically. And so the security guard came over. What are you doing, dude? You know? And lo and behold, you know, I gave him one of my books. I showed him videos, and then what happens? He sees them for himself. I'm like, dude, if you stick around long enough, you're gonna see them. And sure enough, you know, some lights started heading towards us, and I let him see the night vision. I'm like, look, you know, look. And he goes there and he's like, man. He goes, you know, seeing it for myself, that's really convincing. And I go, yeah, I know. I said, these things are here every night. He's like, you see them from here? And I go, yeah, right here. These things are flying over this business, and they're flying over there by the mountain. And so he was amazed, and I gave him a book. And if you're watching, awesome, brother. Come up and talk to me. If you see me up there again, you're great. And thank you for doing your job and checking up on us to make sure that we're not plotting. You know, and to do something. You know, so you're awesome. Thank you for doing your job. You're doing a great job. And so anyway, so Halloween night, let me tell you this other story. So I'm filming them, right? I'm watching these things, and we bring our chihuahua with us, a little chihuahua named Ruby. And so she goes with us, you know, pretty much everywhere we go. And so she's kicking back in a chair, and I'm watching the lights. And then Pam, she goes, well, is that thing gonna come? You grab Ruby? Is it gonna take Ruby? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the lights taking Ruby? What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about. And then she points, and over there on the wall, there's a huge owl, okay? And I look over, and the owl sees me, and boom, it just takes off. It was a huge owl. And so it was pretty magical. And it's not the first time I've seen owls watching the lights with me on the floor outside my apartment. There used to be this owl that came up and just would stop on the light pole up there, and you knew he was seeing the lights. I mean, those guys, they have excellent vision, right? And he's seeing these lights. He knows these lights are there. He's watching them with me, you know. And that's when I first picked him up at 5, you know, over there at our location at the business. And you know, he's on the wall, and so he's seen him there a couple times, but this time he was right there on the wall, right there next to us. And it really shocked me, because I didn't know what Pam was talking about. Are the lights gonna take Ruby away? And then no, she points to that owl. There's a huge owl sitting there. I'm like, oh yeah, he should probably keep an eye on Ruby, you know. And the owl takes off. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. But yeah, these lights are crazy. And if you live here in Tucson, or if you want to know, because I believe that these lights are going on all over the world, in the same spots, same locations, same times, right? And I talk about this in my book, go ahead and put the link up there. There you go. Click on that link, pick up my book, and find out how I was able to track these UFOs, how I was able to see them, and how you too can see these UFOs also. So let's go ahead and move on with the show. So let's go ahead and take a look on the petroglyphs that are carved on the west side of Tucson, on the Tucson mountains. And a good friend of mine named Dennis, he's been helping me out a lot, and I just want to give a shout out to him and say thank you for everything you've been doing for me. I really appreciate you, brother. And so we went out there to the west side of Tucson to take a look at the petroglyphs on Picture Rock in Tucson. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And the first thing that we find a spiral. And so the spirals from the Native Americans are symbols for doorways. Okay? So they say that the spirals represents a doorway into the underworld. If the spiral is going clockwise, it's a doorway in. If a spiral is going counterclockwise, it's a doorway out. If the spiral ends down, 9 times out of 10, the spiral is going to end at the crack of the boulder on which it's carved in. Or if the spiral ends down, it's representing the canyon that the spiral is carved in, and meaning that is the emergence point, that is the doorway. That crack or that canyon where the spiral is carved at is the emergence point, is the doorway for these spirits of the earth and sky to go down into the underworld. But on a scientific analysis, they're actually going down into the fault line for that energy. So a spiral going up, that means there's a vortex, there's a doorway in the sky. And so the first thing that we noticed here was the spiral and what direction it was pointing. So it's going counterclockwise, which is going out, and it's ending up. Look at that. So this is looking towards Tucson. This is the west side. And that's what these lights are doing. They're coming out of the Tucson mountains. And we're going to talk about where they're going in at here in a minute. But let's talk about the petroglyphs real quick. And so we have the spiral, meaning the doorway out, and that's what's happening now. These light orbs are coming out of the Tucson mountains. They're not going in, they're coming out. And look, we have the Native Americans here, and they're celebrating. They're celebrating these light orbs. But this is interesting too, and we haven't really figured this out yet. So many questions. I mean, with the work that I've been doing on the petroglyph connections to these UFOs, I mean, we're really understanding on what these petroglyphs are meaning, are understanding now. We're really getting a concept on what the Native Americans are talking about. And, basically, they're prehistoric UFO sightings, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, some petroglyphs on certain mountains are talking about, ceremonies, hunting and gathering, things like that. But the special ones, the special mountains that we are looking for, have these spiral carvings on it and what the archaeologist likes to call anthropomorphs, shape-shifting beings or shape-shifting deities or entities, if you will. Crazy symbols and weird shapes turning, into the likeness of a snake or an animal of some kind, the anthropomorphs. And that's what we want to look for if we're going to go UFO hunting for these mountains, are the spirals and the anthropomorphs. And also, to understand the petroglyphs, we have to understand on the direction on where these petroglyphs are carved at. So, for instance, if a deer is facing north, he's looking north for a reason. So we want to walk that way, or coyote, we want to walk that way because he's pointing to the next story. And so these petroglyphs here, we see these deers. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit more. We have these deers, and they're kind of oriented into the spiral. You see that? You see how the deers are kind of going in the spiral there? They're pointing at the spiral. Are they emerging? Are they going down into the underworld? It's hard to say. It doesn't really look like, but they are pointing towards the spiral. So indication on what's significant here. What is important. And the spiral is important. And then we have the Native Americans in their attire. This is a prehistoric photograph. They didn't have cell phones or video cameras back then to take pictures of what was going on, but they had these boulders on places where the event took place at. So this is the reason why we find petroglyphs on one spot of the mountain, but we find no petroglyphs on the other spot of the mountain. Is because that side, nothing occurred over there. Nothing important occurred over here. It's where the spirals are carved at is the testimony, is the history. So when we remove that petroglyph, we're removing the story, we're removing the history of that spot. So we don't want to touch the petroglyphs and we don't want to remove them because you're erasing the story on what took place there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this petroglyph here. Now, if you notice, look at that. We have the two orbs. We have two light orbs with what looks like a deer kind of standing on top of it. You see that? And look how the Native Americans, they carved the exact same type of thing that we're seeing in the skies today. Look at these white orbs, right? These white lights. And that's what the night vision is picking up these white orbs. And then we come to and they're coming out of the Tucson mountains. And then we come to the Tucson mountains and we see the exact same petroglyph of orbs, white orbs. And it's interesting that it's a deer on top of it. Is these orbs taking away this animal here? Is this orb taking away this deer? Is that what the Native Americans are trying to tell us? Could be. More investigation needs to be worked on that. But it is interesting on how we see the exact same type of orbs carved on the mountains and a doorway, a symbol for a doorway going out, the exact same stuff that we're seeing today.
Spirits remain. Reverence shown to the spirits from beyond. Glimpse the other world. Spirits come.
So let's go take a look at what other petroglyphs are carved there. This is fascinating. Here we see a man, a carving of a man. And what is he doing? What is he doing? He is looking up at two orbs in the sky. Is that incredible or what? I mean, this is evidence, okay? This isn't hearsay. We're actually proving that the Native Americans, the people before us, over 1,000 years ago, saw these things in the sky also. And they made a note of it. And they recorded it. This is their way of recording what happened not only in Tucson, but Phoenix and all over the world. The same story. Sometimes it's told a little different way, but it basically means the same thing. It's the same stuff from different tribes all over the world who had no contact with each other, but yet they're talking about orbs in the sky. They're talking about seeing things in the sky. They're talking about what we're seeing in the skies today, and this is proof right here. This is a prehistoric photograph of what was seen over 1,000 years ago, and now we're seeing it today. Isn't that incredible? It's fascinating. So, as I mentioned before, one way to understand the petroglyphs is to understand the direction on where the glyph is facing. For instance, if the deer is facing one direction, we want to go in that direction because he's telling us he's pointing to the next story. If a coyote is looking down, if a coyote is looking that way, then he's telling us he's pointing to the spot on what the glyph is talking about. So a lot of petroglyphs sometimes we find up high up on cliffs. And why is that? It's because the artist wants us to look up. He's telling us that he saw something in the sky. So what better way for us to understand what he's trying to tell us is to carve it in the sky. So we have to look up to see the glyph. And what do we see? Oh, we see an orb. We see a flying snake. We see a flying diamond. We see a spiral. And that's what he's trying to let us know, because he didn't have, video cameras or cell phones or anything like that. So to make us understand what he's trying to tell us with his art, he's carving it in the sky for us to look up to see what he's trying to tell us. And a lot of things are encoded too. So when I was exploring South Mountain, I found a lot of petroglyphs of deers, and some of the deer's antlers were going in crazy directions. But when I took a step back and I looked at the deer on the boulder it was carved on, and then I looked behind the boulder and I saw the huge mountain range back there, I soon realized that the crazy antlers are actually the trails on the mountain that the deer is oriented towards. So we're looking north, and so we're looking at the North Mountains, and so the deer is talking about the North Mountains trails. So it's actually a map. Those deer's antlers are a map to where the next story is, or to where the next sacred spot is. And so let's go ahead and take a look at one of the petroglyphs that's carved here in Tucson on the west mountains, the Tucson mountains, and we find this stick figure guy. You see that? And he's in the worshiping pose. He's got his hands up. See that? And what is he doing? He's looking in the sky. He's seeing these orbs in the sky. This is one way on how to interpret this rock art, because he's telling us, look, he's looking in the sky. He put the sky in with the art. Is that clever or what? For us to understand that this guy here is seeing what we're seeing today.
What started for me 2 months ago, and it seemed to have a start just about 2 months. I got a phone call from a man who lives in Arizona, and I'll just give you sentences. I won't go into everything. He said, I have so many good films of lights forming into triangles, forming into Ys, forming into diamonds. Linda, I can go out onto my deck and I can shoot them, meaning film, camera, every night, and I would be getting footage. I said, well, send me some. And he did, and they are good.
So we've been talking about how they're coming out of the Tucson mountains west, but where are they going in at? Well, this was filmed a few nights ago as I was looking up above my place, and I could only see this object with the night vision camera. That's why it's so important when you're hunting these things to use night vision capabilities, because you can see them a lot better, because you can't see this with your naked eye. And it was a little dot, a little white dot, and he's moving north. He's headed towards the Catalina Mountains. But I think really his destination is the canyons behind Mount Lemmon, to the doorways. And so I'm continuing to film this thing, and it's flying over my place, heading north, heading towards the mountains. And you can barely see it. And then another one comes in right there. You can barely see it. And they're going to crisscross right there in front of each other, while this one continues to move down. This is the Catalina Mountains right here. And this one is continuing to ascend down. And we're still trying to figure out what this light here is on the side of the Catalinas, because that's not supposed to be there. But we're concentrating on this light here as it's going down, in our perspective, the Catalinas. But I really think they're going into the doorway of Mount Lemmon, those canyons, and I talk about it in the book. So they're going down to Mount Lemmon, and that was found probably about 7 o'clock. And they're coming out of the Tucson mountains west about an hour and a half, give or take, later. Because I'm noticing them coming out of the Tucson mountains around 8 o'clock. And then by the time it gets to be 9 o'clock, man, they're huge, they're big, they're full of energy, and they're bright, and you can see them with your naked eye. And they're still continuing the cycle of being there within an hour, give or take a little bit past an hour. But to see them on the west side right now is roughly about 8 to about 9 o'clock. And that's when they start to go away. Well, that concludes tonight's show. Thank you so much for being here. And, I'm still in the makings of this book here. So I'll be doing a revised book in 2026 at the end of this year, 2025. I'll be updating the book in 2026 on where these lights are and what's going on and the progress that I've been watching for this whole year. So this book is still in the making, but if you want to go ahead and pick up your copy now, go ahead and do so. It'll teach you on how to see these UFOs, where to see them, on how to track them. And it's just not here in Tucson. It's around the world. I believe the same pattern that's here in Tucson is going on around the world in your city also. And, I think that we just proved it when we went to California and we discovered the lights out there. Same time, same orientation, and same everything as here in Tucson. And, I'm also getting reports of lights on the west side of Phoenix at the White Tank Mountains. where I took the UFO Hunter show in 2005, 2007, on the episode Arizona Lights. Those petroglyphs there, that's where these orbs are showing up now here in November of 2025. So those lights are on the west side of Phoenix. Any of those who want to go out, any of you who are in Phoenix and want to go check out those lights, they're at the White Tanks in Phoenix. And if you're here in Tucson, contact me. Let's go see the lights together. And if you're not, pick up my book. Learn how you too can see these lights in your city. So we will see you next time. Thank you again. Take care.